Hi, I am Dr. Andrew Siegel, a urologist who practices in Hackensack, New Jersey, and today I would like to discuss with you erectile function and dysfunction, mysteries of the penis revealed, a urologist perspective. The following is an overview of my talk. The initial talk will be an introduction to the subject, and then I would like to discuss in some detail the anatomy and function of the penis, then a discussion of size, as this is an issue that is often brought up to me from my patients, then a discussion of the causes, and finally management of erectile dysfunction. One of my favorite books, Love in the Time of Cholera, Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I'd like to read from that book a wonderful quote that refers to the penis. It is like a firstborn son. You spend your life working for him, sacrificing everything for him, and at the moment of truth, he does just as he pleases. A rose by any other name would smell just as sweet. William Shakespeare. There are a lot of terms for our penises, and some are harsh, angry, curt, some obscene, some clever. I particularly enjoy the Irish term lad, my lad. It's endearing, my fellow, my chap, my youth. And the Brits, they have another lovely term, todger. Let's give the Australians some credit for this also. A rose by any other name would smell just as sweet for the erect penis. These terms are generally very descriptive and apt. Boner, woody, hard-on, pony, chubby, pitching a tent. And the final term is one that we often used in pediatric urology when I was a resident at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, referencing the final anatomical results of a child's penis after a reconstruction for a congenital abnormality. A proud soldier. Such a nice term. We are all incredibly happy to be men and actually enjoy our penises. And why is that? Number one, this organ is versatile and responsive. It adapts to our environment and needs. It rises to the occasion. When we don't need it, when we're exercising, when we're swimming, bike riding, it is flaccid. Under the proper circumstances, as depicted on the right, it works for us. It's our friend. It cooperates. It reminds me so much of Popeye the Sailor Man, a little spinach and his biceps turned from flaccid to full. Quite an amazing organ if you think about it. If only our brains and our muscles could react in similar fashion. Now the penis, additionally, is oh so convenient. It's always there for us. It's just an arm's length away. It enables us to stand in unfavorable circumstances to empty our bladders. This is the bane of many a woman. At times it can be inconvenient. It's not always wonderful to have a penis, and sometimes does need to be rearranged at inconvenient times. Last but not least, this is a wonderful, multifunctional organ. And I like to break the functions up into the 4 P's. Peeing in a standing, directed fashion. Penetration that allows us to have sexual intercourse and reproduce. Passage of genetic material to perpetuate the species. We can't forget the pleasure principle. Our design was so clever as to link pleasure with reproduction. This is, in essence, the ultimate bait and switch scheme. It ensures perpetuation of the species. These are all photographs that I have taken over the years. Giraffes, ladybugs, wasps copulating. Now, you can be sure that if sex was not a pleasurable act, there would be little incentive to have sex and reproduce the species. And the world would certainly not be overpopulated the way it is. Now, ED, commonly bandied about term that refers to erectile dysfunction, which essentially means the inability to obtain or maintain an erection. Very, very common problem. One that many of my patients seek treatment for. ED has also been referred to as endothelial dysfunction. The endothelium are the very cells that line our blood vessels. And if these cells do not function properly, if they're clogged with fatty tissue, plaque, etc., they can give rise to erectile dysfunction. ED also stands for early detection of cardiovascular disease. As I will talk about more later, penile function, erectile function, intact function can be a good bellwether or indicator of good cardiovascular function. And the corollary as well is true. If the penis is not working properly, perhaps the coronary vessels and other vessels in the body are not working properly as well. And lastly, ED stands for early death, because if one has significant erectile dysfunction, it can certainly correlate very strongly with coronary artery disease and other such vascular diseases that could give rise to one's early demise. So, to review, if all you can get is a flaccid penis, and the entire utility of your penis is for standing up to urinate, and you cannot get an erection, it can be an indicator of underlying cardiovascular disease. And if your penis is working well, gets erect and rigid and durable, then it is a very good sign of good underlying health, good cardiovascular health. The coronary vessels are 3 to 4 millimeters. The penile vessels are 1 to 2 millimeters. If you have a disease process such as atherosclerosis or thickening of the arteries, disease, fatty disease laid down within the lumen of the arteries that is affecting blood flow, it stands to reason how it can affect these tiny penile arteries before it affects larger arteries. This slide on the left depicts the normal coronary artery and what the process of atherosclerosis and perhaps clotting can do, narrowing the diameter. And essentially this is a correlate in general with the aging process, and probably accounts for the fact that erectile dysfunction occurs more commonly with the aging process, although there are many men who are in their 70s and 80s and even 90s who are functioning perfectly well. If you enjoyed this little discussion, then you might well be interested in a book that I have recently published entitled Finding Your Own Fountain of Youth, The Essential Guide to Maximizing Health, Wellness, Fitness, and Longevity. Right now this book is available online from Paul Mould Publishing, and for more information go to findingyourownfountainofyouth.com.